it's horrifying, and we're hoping that there will be continued release every day that passes. That doesn't mean, as our news commentators say every day in the United States, it's because someone's name is there, they committed a crime. But I think there's a lot of very troubling and really horrific information coming out. Today, it came out that Steve Bannon was trying to get Jeffrey Epstein to help him overthrow Pope Francis.
Madam Secretary, I'd like to ask you, I'm the mother of a daughter, and it absolutely horrifies me to see what the Epstein files have brought out. And I wanted to ask you, what does it say about Western values when Western leaders have perpetuated and participated in these horrific abuses of minors and girls?
Thank you very much. We have gone everywhere from New Start to Epstein. Via some fundamental questions of the critique of rules-based order from the left, of civilization versus values, of conservatism versus liberalism in the US, and other things. Secretary Clinton, as there are a couple directly to you, let me start with you, and then everyone else gets about a minute, and you get a minute and a tiny bit.
Yeah, I heard three in particular to the last question, and we're hoping that there will be continued release every day that passes. That doesn't mean, as our news commentators say every day in the United States, it's because someone's name is there, they committed a crime. But I think there's a lot of very troubling and really horrific information coming out. Today, it came out that Steve Bannon was trying to get Jeffrey Epstein to help him overthrow Pope Francis. I guess that was part of the civilizational true conservatism. So it is something that needs to be totally transparent. I've called for many, many years for everything to be put out there so people can not only see what is in them, but also, if appropriate, hold people accountable. We'll see what happens. On the New START treaty, which we were, the foreign minister and I were talking about this just backstage. We actually signed, President Obama signed the New START treaty in Prague. And it was, one in a series of efforts to restrain the proliferation of nuclear weapons, to control the U.S. and Russian arsenals. And I think it's a very big mistake for it to have been allowed to expire. I know that there was an offer, apparently, from the Russians to extend it a year, during which there could be some negotiations. The Trump administration refused that. And their response was that they wanted to try to get China and other nuclear weapons countries into a regime, which more power to them if they could ever manage that and if it could be achieved. But I am very worried because Trump also, he tweets, or I guess he X's or whatever he does on social media late at night. And one of his recent ones was to resume nuclear testing, underground nuclear testing. And I think that would be a terrible development. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and I'm hoping that there can be some efforts to reinstate some kind of nuclear arms agreements. With respect to this question, if you think about the 13 colonies, that was a creed. It was an idea. It was a philosophy. It did not include the entire continental United States, let alone Alaska and Hawaii. It was based on the founders' deep understanding of human nature, of philosophy, of what we might call liberal thought, as they created a new country. And, when I hear President or Vice President Vance say things like that about how, it's a nation, it's blood and soil, and all the ways that he talks about it, I think to myself, I never knew he was such a firm advocate for Native Americans, because the idea that you would have an approach toward the United States that ripped away our founding documents, our founding philosophies, is so contrary to the way I understand American history. So I think that it's not only wrong historically, it is a political device that I think is very dangerous and should be rejected whole cloth.
Thank you. Gladden.
I'm a citizen of the Osage Tribal Nation, a Native American tribe in Oklahoma. I voted for President Trump and Vice President Vance, as did the majority of our tribe. So I can only speak for myself and us, but at any rate, I think he has not used the phrase blood and soil, and this is not an accurate characterization of the thought that's going on in the administration. There's one thing on the panel I can agree with, however, and this is your point, that conservatism has changed. Absolutely. In the 1990s and 2000s, there was basically a conspiracy of the center-left and the center-right, both to sell out the country. From the center-left, we got a social progressivism, which, yes, in the post-war period, had been responsible for important advances in American life. Native Americans were the last to get the vote, actually, even after women. So that's very important. But it didn't know where to stop. Similarly, the free market conservatives. There's a lot of things that the market does well. They also didn't know where to stop. So an important corrective had to come. In Europe, I have to say that corrective came from someone who made correct decisions when it came to migration, family, and also the importance of peace. And I hate to say it, but you can either acknowledge that Prime Minister Orban was right 10 years ago, or you can wait another 10 years and then realize it. The conservative voices, including his...
We have to see whether he wins the next election. I'm going to stop you on that.
His voice has been excluded.
Yeah. From what?
Decisions of the European Commission, which continues to go for qualified majority.
The European Commission, I think, feels that Hungary has quite a lot of voice. Radek, make your single best point.
What?
Make your best point.
Sure. Oh, all right. Someone asked about Lavrov. Hillary didn't answer, so I will. I had a relationship with Lavrov based on telling each other Soviet-era jokes. So there was a competition in the Soviet Union for the best political joke. First prize, 15 years. Someone asked here about MAGA think tanks. My take on this is the following. So until recently, we had an unspoken agreement not to interfere in allied countries' party political rivalries, right? Now, President Trump received our populist candidate for the president between the first and the second round of our presidential election. So in the old days, we didn't interfere, but we did interfere on behalf of democracy in the politics of autocracies. And now it's the other way around. And actually, Prime Minister Orban has created a program.
What's the point you're making with that? That it's fair now, or?
No, I'm saying it's completely outrageous.
Right.
And in Poland, for example, it's irrational, because in Poland was for decades the most pro-American country in Europe. And the United States had a wonderful situation in which the government and the opposition, either way, was competing who would be more pro-American.